Yeah, so Bhavna ma'am, open your camera.
Good afternoon, sir. Just a minute. Wait, ma'am.
My device on.
Pradhi, ma'am.
Hello, no, it's still there.
Yeah, Renu ma'am, this is fine now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Bhavna ma'am, please open your camera first so that we can start the session now.
Yeah.
IT, can you please check?
Yes.
Mrs. Vidya Muralidharan is Army School, Hyderabad.
Yes, ma'am. I'm
Yeah.
just introducing to the
I've
English.
served in Army School for years together. Almost 25 years I've served various Army schools of Delhi, Lucknow, Firozpur, Bhatinda. So it's nice to see somebody.
That's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yes.
So I'm going live. Hello, participants. NEP was launched last year, 2020, amidst pandemic, where at one place we were struggling to ensure students get access to the digital education. This policy provided a paradigm shift in education, a clear uplift for the literacy and employment. The policy included ensuring universal access at all levels of school education, early childhood care and education with new curricular and pedagogical structure, attaining foundational literacy and numeracy, reforms in school curriculum and pedagogy, multilingualism and the power of language and whatnot. Today, we have gathered here to discuss a step ahead on the NEP, and our topic regarding is reform, perform and transform with the problems and solutions. Joining me today, our esteemed panelists, I'm very happy to introduce you to Dr. C.B. Mishra. He's a Director Principal for Prudence Group of Schools, Delhi. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Singh. She's the Director Principal, Amity International School, Noida.
Thank you, Sachin. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
ma'am. Dr. Krishna Singh, Principal, Army Public School, Punjab.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Anupama Mehra, Principal, Navy Children's School, Goa.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Dr. Bhavna Kulshestra, Principal, Amity International School, Ghaziabad, and Mrs. Vidya Muralidharan, Principal, Army Public School, Hyderabad. My
Good
hearty
afternoon.
welcome to all the panelists. Great. So starting with Renu ma'am, with you, starting with a very basic understanding on how you think NEP will have an impact in the long term in the school pedagogy and the curriculum for the students.
Very good afternoon to all my co-panelists, Sachinji, we are very fortunate that you have invited all of us for this very, very important webinar. And I'm sure that whatever we are going to discuss is going to be fruitful for all the educational institution. You asked me about how NEP is going to benefit in the longer run to students. So I would like to say here that national education policy aims actually to empower and encourage holistic development of students, all students. And NEP actually is focusing on shifting assessment to, meeting the challenges or giving life skills of 21st century to the students. It is not only assessment, we are preparing children to prepare for their life. And I'm sure that it is going to, implementation of this policy is going to reduce rote learning to some extent, not completely, but yes, to a great extent. In fact, it is going to finish with rote learning. It is going to promote sports integrated learning. It is going to promote art integrated learning. And because it is going to be now interesting for the children are going to enjoy learning, and it's going to give more exposure to children. And it is also going to increase or enhance research work in the students, which normally they don't do. But this is learning by doing. NEP is going to introduce learning by doing. It is going to enhance problem solving attitude for problem solving skills of the children. And as I was telling you that it is going to make interesting. Learning is going to be interesting. So I'm sure that the dropout rate is going to get less now. It is going to reduce. And it is also going to prepare children for competitive exams, because now they are going to deal with high order thinking skills questions. They are going to do experiential learning. They are going to do research-based, answers. So I'm sure that it is going to help children in a longer run, and not only students, it is going to help all of us, because the way now NEP is introduced, number of training sessions, like professional development programs NEP is given. So we all are going to get benefit with this. And the most important thing which I feel, that it has given multidisciplinary approach to students. Means like now it is not going to be like ye science ke students hai, ye commerce ke students hai, they are humanity. It is not going to be labeled like this. Child can do legal studies with physics. This is the combination children are taking in Amity. So if child can get what he wants, so definitely it is going to be more, pleasure learning for child, and definitely it is going to give various options, various exposure to children. So NEP is going to really help children in long term.
That's really understandable, and I'm sure this is going to bring a lot of impact. Dr. C.B. Mishra sir, I would like to come to you and would like to understand it from the another angle. Now, do you think the social emotional learning and the cultural competence is being addressed in the NEP, or maybe you would like to share some academic pedagogy that we can address this issue as well, the issue of social emotional learning and the cultural competence? Your take, sir.
Sachinji, you had asked very good questions. Social emotional learning. Social emotional learning is attached with the employability skills also. How you are socially connect with your job, how emotional you are working, that all depends actually. In the NEP, basically, we are focusing, and as a CBSE school, we are always focusing on the 21st century skill. We are saying as a 21st century skill. As Renu Madam is also discussing about the pedagogy and the systems, we have also more than 12 sections of 12th class having the integration of so many subjects, integration of languages. Here, research is basically the social emotional connect. What is social emotional? When sanskar, we say sanskar. Sachinji, you had got something from your grandfather, something you are getting less than from your grandfather to your father. So that sanskar, whatever the sanskar is there, that was actually the culture what we require right now. That creates the employability, and that is lacking. That's why we are facing this problem of employability. I want to share one small story. Few days before, we are sitting with the Delhi Minority Commission, and we are discussing about the how to generate this employability skills among the students. I say because we are not following our heritage culture or heritage business or heritage skills. That's why we are facing this type of problems, diverting toward the new things. Design thinking is one of the important part, but how you're designing the thinking process in your culture, in your social, that is one of the important part. CBSE is also coming up with the skill development programs, where we have one program, that is you can say spiritual clothing. Now, spiritual clothing is a skill development program. Imagine that will create you can say employability skills among those person or those areas where the temples are there or churches are there, or you can say gurdwaras are there, or you can say masjid are there. So this type of culture or this type of things are creating the culture of employability. Education, the purpose of education is not getting the degree. How much they know maths, nothing. How much they know the science, but how they are applying this maths and science or language in their business or daily life, that is the important part. One thing. In the life skills, basically, when we say the flips, flexibility, leadership, you can say initiative, productive, and social skills, that are the emotional connection with here, basically. So what I suggested to the Delhi this minority commission, why we not made the student mart? As you are in the university side, I request you to kindly create one portal for the student mart, just like Indian mart. Create the student mart so that the people or the students, those who have internship, we are saying the internship right now, the 80% internship are not based on the research, not based on the actual practice on the practical ground, you can say. So when we start this internship in this student mart, the students will enroll themselves with their parental business and they start selling the product. Let us assume that my father is a farmer and we are having something, food grains or something like whatever we are selling, or I am a cloth merchant. I can sell my cloth among the students, among the other people on the e-portal, and that skills we are supposed to create, because we are converting our skills towards the IT sector, towards the digital sector, and that is the important part. In new education policy, they are focusing on the same thing. Communication is one of the important part. That's why we are saying 21st century skills, we are employability skills we are supposed to create. Whatever the knowledge they have, whatever the skills they have, we are try to enhance that skills so that the children are going to improve their employability skills with the other sectors. The school and university can build all these things. I think social emotional connect is 100% marks is given in the new education policy. Over to Sachin ji.
That's really wonderful to know and discussing about the sanskars, because that's what Indian tradition and values has been know all the time. And this would be definitely a great impact way forward. Absolutely, sir. Discussing the way forward about the assessment criteria, Dr. Krishna, I would like to discuss with you on what are the new assessment criteria that have been used in NEP to gauge the learning outcomes specific.
Hello, good afternoon, Sachin. Am I audible?
Yes, but we can't see you.
Yeah, I believe the host has disabled my video. I'm not able to put it on.
IT, please check.
There must be some technical error. Okay, fine. I got the message.
Yeah.
Thank you so much and good afternoon to each one of you. And thank you for providing me such a wide platform to express my views. And this new assessment criteria, as the question by Sachin is like, what are the new assessment criteria are being used in NEP to gauge the learning outcomes? So over here, I would say that the assessment system will be totally take the reform by NEP. So there will be continuous tracking of the learning outcome of each child. Each child, the learning outcome or the progress of the child will be kept in track. Board examinations, that is for class 10th and 12th, will be made more flexible with the assessment of essential skills. Assessment to focus on the core concepts, higher order thinking skills, and foundational skills will be there. Artificial intelligence based software to develop or to help the track progress of the students to enable them to make the optimal career choices. You must have all heard about National Assessment Center, that is PARAK. PARAK stands for Performance Assessment Review Analysis of Knowledge for the Holistic Development of Students. Now, what is the role of PARAK which we're going to play over here? It will set the norms, standards, guidelines for assessment and evaluation, guiding the state achievement survey, conducting national achievement survey, and monitor the learning outcomes in the country. It is a standard setting body under the Ministry of Education. There is a self-assessment and peer assessment system. It means that there will be a total reform in the report card also. The 360-degree multi-dimensional report card will be created, will be redesigned for all the students, where it will be the child can self-assess himself. There will be assessment by the teachers. There will be assessment by the peer and the assessment by the parents. The next is National Testing Agency. NTA will also work to offer a common aptitude test of high quality to eliminate the need of the coaching or to make the stress or to remove the stress of the students. If I say these assessment system, how it will be implemented, because I can say this is again one of the challenge, because to remove the board system, if I say about the term one has taken place, but still we are getting in the news that the students are under stress. So how this will happen? So there is a procedure which will be laid down to implement the new assessment system. That is a preparation of new assessment patterns for all stages of school education will be there. Building a culture of formative and assessment, adept assessment system in the schools. They need to build a type of a culture for every class. There will be a capacity building of paper setters. There should be continuous programs or the building capacity workshops for the new assessment patterns, how the question paper or question banks needs to be developed so that our children are equipped and familiar to resolve and to solve the higher order thinking skills questions also. There will be development of assessment patterns and evaluation procedure for holding the state census exams for classes 3rd, that is 3, 5, and 8th. Redesigning of report card. As I mentioned earlier when I mentioned that the report card will be redesigned on the school-based assessment to communicate child's progress by the schools to the parents. There will be development of IT-based tracking system by all the states for tracking the progress of learners from grades 1 to 12. There will be a development plan also to reduce the burden of exams by examining all policy recommendation in consultation with the board of assessment. Renaming, again, if I say if now in 10th the child gets fail or something, there's a compartment exam which we call. This compartment exam will be renamed as improvement exam and strengthen these exams by making them low stakes by CBSE and other board of assessment. Review of the subjects which would be offered by CBSE and other board of assessment and secondary and senior secondary level. Preparation of common norms, standard and guidelines for assessment evaluation for secondary. Education in alignment with the National Curriculum Framework 2020 for all board of assessment. Now over here, when if I talk about the assessment, the main stress which a child faces, that is in 9th to 12th. So for in 10th and 12th, the children will be given the options, that is they can appear for the 2-term examination, that is the first part can be they can attend, and the second they can attend for the as an improvement exam. This system is just to remove the stress and exam pressure which a child undergoes. And this is what I can say. And still, as per the NEP, the schools and every educational institution is trying to work, and continuational training programs are taking place.
Perfect.
But how to monitor this? If just a second, I'll just take. There has to be a participation. Every individual needs to take the responsibility. If I'm trained for this, I need to take the responsibility for this. There needs to be work ethics which needs to be followed. There should be a way of presenting the work, skills, creativity, role depiction, and anecdotes needs to be taken place by individual. Thank you so much.
That really makes sense, the points that you have raised, Dr. Krishna. Moving to ma'am, Ms. Anupama. syllabus guidelines are still blurred. What would be your suggestions to improve this?
Good afternoon, everyone. Pleasure to be here and to speak to everybody. Before I take on the question, a couple of views. Though we all keep cribbing that CBSE keeps bringing on every other day something new out of their little trick bag and throwing it at schools, and the schools keep realigning themselves to the new policies. But a year which saw a term 1, term 2, a pandemic for the past 2 years, the launch of NAS, the launch of SAFAL, the launch of a different pattern board exams, these changes are fairly welcome. Of course, setting the tone and the pace, I have a slightly different take of the syllabus guidelines being slightly blurred. Never before has such an exhaustive document been outlined as the NEP, which talks about serious goals in numeracy and literacy. The problem always comes at the grassroots level of implementation. So as we principals are called as the pedagogical leaders, the onus lies on us to drive a very focused assessment policy in our schools and an extremely focused learning outcome based, competency based learning system and a testing system. The syllabus is there, the framework is there, and very interestingly, a circular which was released by the CBSE on the 8th of October talked about a collaboration between the EdTech platform, educational initiatives, and the CBSE, along with British Council for their assessment purpose. It is a beautiful document to address learning gaps. It's an excellent document which talks about these are the areas which are must-do topics from classes 1 to 10 before they move on to the next class. So if a class 1 student is moving to class 2, topic A, B, C, D in English, maths, and science must be covered. So imagine, never before has, in times of pandemic and when our little ones are at home, do you have guidelines whether fractions need to be done this year or whether an integers needs to be followed, or do we teach geometric shapes to our children, or does the water cycle need to be done? So imagine a teacher getting this ready-made information that these are my gaps. Before my kid moves up to the next class, our children must know this. Number one. Number two, the moment the board examination for term 1 was released, we've all gone into overdrive. Papers like accountancy, papers like English, they have set us thinking. Are our children prepared to handle reading comprehensions the way they were given out? Are our children able to Prezi write? Are our children clear enough to take out a central idea out of a passage? These are pertinent questions that English teachers are asking. There are pertinent questions that content developers are asking. How do you develop these skills in children? Now you've got to actually think backwards. So I feel that the documentation is there. The material is right in front of us. We are fortunate to be in a country where you have a plethora of EdTech platforms ready to handhold you, right? All we have to, the gap is the training and implementation. The training of teachers is unable to keep pace with the massive changes being brought out by CBSE. So like I said, the framework is there. SAFAL, NAS, British Council, educational initiatives is why I mentioned educational initiatives is because they have an official collaboration. So we have documentation with us. It is just that we have to start rethinking in the manner in which we are testing our children. Class 1 to 6 or 1 to 8, at least in a state like Goa, is sitting at home, where even getting a mobile phone to a rural area of North Goa is tough. So imagine now where a child is Googling every information, copy pasting it. For the first time, you have questions which you cannot Google and copy paste. Imagine. So it's the innate knowledge of a child which is actually going to come to your rescue. You cannot Google a definition because that's not the way the question is asked anymore, right? So I feel the framework is there. I think we as a nation need to catch up with training and implementation down to the grassroots level. I think that's what is more important.
That's a really interesting aspect of the points that you have really raised. Bhavna ma'am, welcome to the session. IT, we have a person called Roman. Please remove this gentleman or the student, whosoever it is. Moving to, yes, Bhavna ma'am, thank you. Finally, you made it. I think this is the beauty of the technology. This has been the technical aspect that no, finally it was managed and she is here live with us. Had this been the traffic jam, I'm very sure she would not have not been able to make it. So welcome, Bhavna ma'am. And without wasting further time, would like to have a thought from you on the simple point that how do you think NEP will benefit the student in the long term? What are your thoughts? Maybe in a quick note.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much, Mr. Juneja, for having me here. And yes, it wasn't easy joining here. It was like, I think the traffics would have been easier. I had been waiting, then I was here, then I got logged off, and then finally I'm here. So that's how technology is challenging all of us. I'm so sorry I missed major part of the discussion. I wish I could have been here. So yes, could you please repeat your question?
So how NEP will benefit the students in the long term?
Of course, NEP is something that we have been long waiting. I wish NEP had been around when I was a student. As a student, I personally wanted to take up a subject combination, something like geography and Sanskrit and biology and maybe English literature. And that was not possible then. But with NEP, the subject, there is nothing, no rigidity like the stream. You can take up any subject irrespective of the stream, and you can go ahead with your education. So the multiple entry and exit points that are being allowed, the flexibility that is being allowed is also going to help the children immensely. The budget allocation, what was earlier 3%, is now being raised to 6%. So overall, education in our country will definitely see a fillip there as well. So in our school, of course, there has been a lot of emphasis on what is being advocated by NEP. Many of those schools that are in the same league as mine have already been doing it. Of course, now the same thing has been brought in by NEP. Talking of experiential learning, like a school like ours, we already believe that rote learning should be done away with. And what we need, the need of the hour, is the experiential learning. To give you an example, what we have been doing here for several years, NEP or no NEP, if we have to teach heritage to our children, in our curriculum, heritage is very much a part. For several years it has been. So we don't just rely on the textbooks. In addition to whatever is there in the textbook, we see where we can bring in the experiential learning. So we, being in the Delhi NCR, we have several resources available to us. Like we take our children to places like Shilp Haat in Noida Haat or Delhi Haat, where children get to see for themselves what are the hand-woven textiles, rather than just knowing through the textbook what is Sambalpuri or what is Bhagalpuri or what is Jamdani or whatever. If we talk of the regional cuisine, we have the opportunity here to take our children to the state bhavans, so they get to know the cuisine, the heritage, the life heritage of the place firsthand. For the performing arts, we have Sangeet Natak Academy, where we take our children. We have been doing it for years. And of course, with the kind of emphasis that NEP is laying on experiential learning, we will continue to do the same. So I want to hear more of my panelists about it. And because I just joined in, I am not in the flow. I want to know Mr. Sachin. I would want to hear my panelists first.
Great. I understand, and thank you. Moving to Vidya ma'am, how are you implementing NEP at your school? And to be very specific, I would be interested to understand which subjects are more in demand and which are emerging, how things are shaping up. Your thoughts now.
Yeah, I think good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here talking to you on probably the most debated or most talked about NEP. I think NEP is probably, even a commoner now knows what an NEP is, because I think it's been debated that many times in multiple medias. So I think what I feel about the NEP in particular is it's more of creating experiences for children. I think that is what ultimately makes you learn, makes the students learn. I think you need to curate experiences for the students as educators, and that is where the training of the educators come into play, as was talked about. The training and implementation part is very, very important, because it involves a lot of innovation, a lot of creativity, and a lot of out-of-box thinking. So only then you will be in a position to curate any experience for your students. I think that is where probably actually the learning gap is. Probably what the children learn, they're unable to connect with it because they are not connected to the society at all. So this NEP, I think it gives a real good platform for the students to actually connect with the community. And if the experiences are curated well, if the pedagogy is planned really well, I think it's a wonderful way in which students can connect to the community, and they can be more empathetic, more understanding of what is happening around you. Regarding the subject, I think we being in the hot seat of technology, I think in Hyderabad, I think technology is definitely the hot seat. It has already been. But what I can see a change that is happening is because even a lot of our learning platforms and is all AI based, where you can understand the learning gaps. So I think, for example, we use some software called the Asset, or software called the Funtoot, where actually you can find out the learning gaps in the children. So what, and I think this is a good start point for the children to curate something themselves. So artificial intelligence I is one of the very hot subjects here. Everybody wants to study artificial intelligence as a way forward. And because people believe that AI is going to rule the world. So AI is one of the very hot subjects as on today. And so is coding. So I think people believe that as you grow up to study artificial intelligence, coding using various platforms or subjects like coding using languages like Python is ruling. And so coding, actually in my school, it's there from class 6. Everybody is on to coding, and they are learning coding full-fledged. I think what is going to be on demand later on, if you ask me, I think data science is going to rule the world. And then CBSE has also introduced data science recently. And I think for educators who have not read this book, I think there's a book which I'm recently reading is The Fuzzy and the Techie. Is a very interesting book. I think you've read it. I think Mrs. Anupama has read it. And I think it's a very, very interesting book. Which
A voracious reader. I read even a plastic packet lying on my table.
that's wonderful. I think is if you get your hands on that, I think it's a wonderful book which tells you how liberal arts is going to take over the world, because without the connection with the social aspects, technology is nowhere. I think so. These are some emerging trends which I'm seeing. And also one very interesting aspect which I saw here down in the south, because it's a part where the Geographical Research Institute is situated. So we find children opting for geography with computer science, which probably is going to lead you to something called the geospatial technology. So I think that is also one of the emerging trends which I have seen here down south. I'm sure that there are multiple avenues which are emerging, but These are some things which I have observed, and I think I would love to hear more from my fellow panelists as to what they have observed in their regions and their schools.
Wonderful. And this geospatial was an interesting aspect because recently, in fact, my friend, dear friend, is in the college age, he is the director of this geospatial institute, and I did some trainings for them. And there, from there itself, I got to know that how big this setup is being coming up for the geographical space students, those who are looking forward to. Renu ma'am, your thoughts,
Can I add one more point before you
please.
just go on? I think one important thing which I found with the children is they understood how to integrate this technology with geography. Now they have understood how to map geography, the locations using the technology, using the GPRS. So I think that made a very interesting element in how children understood that that could be a very good combination for them in years to come.
Absolutely, absolutely. Renu ma'am, comments from South has come and the comments from North. What North is looking to.
Yes, Sachin, I mean, it's very, very interesting to listen to Anupma ma'am, all my co-panelists, Vidya ma'am, Sir, CB Mishra sir, and Krishna, and my dear Bhavna. You know, how we are implementing all these things in our school. As Bhavna said, that we have been doing this. I mean, whatever NEP is giving now, Amity is following for the last number of years. If, like we are saying that this NEP is going to enhance critical thinking, so greater emphasis we are giving for, you know, application-based question, high-order thinking skills question. We are, you know, Sachin is witness to this, that in order to develop scientific temperament in the students and mathematical ability, Sachin must have seen that there were a number of webinars organized by Amity University. If I read, like which I have attended recently, A Fit Mind and Fit Body, Science Developing Human Resource, Role to Line Managers, How to Create Positive Health Environment During COVID Time. We did outcome-based education for future, how to write good research paper. This is how we are implementing happiness and accelerating the inner potential well-being, International Conference on Student Engagement Well-being we did. Innovation in robotic technology, introduction to aerodynamics, to aerospace and automotive applications, data science. These, I mean, there's a list of different webinars which we could do, which we could attend because of Amity University. So this is how we are implementing, you know, scientific temperament and mathematical ability to students. Then, as Bhavna was telling, that in school, we are going to have Vasudha. Vasudha is something to do with science. We are doing number of science activities. Let me tell you, in my 40 years of teaching career, Sachin ji and all my co-panelists, I've never seen so much of interest in science, which NEP is asking now. We have got out of 500 students in my class 12th. Amity Noida is a very big school. There are more students in science than in commerce. I have not seen any other schools. You know, I've served a number of army schools also. We used to have more number in commerce and less in science. But in Amity, because we are promoting science, scientific temperament, we have got more students. As far as we are talking about, like, number of, I can't name all the programs which we are having for science. And as far as interdisciplinary approach is implementing, our teachers are using different ICT tools. Like, I was very happy to listen to Vidya ma'am. You know, how they are implementing art, how they are implementing geography with history, and, you know, legal studies with the geography. So this is what we are also doing. And one more thing which we are implementing in our school is for socio-economical disadvantaged group. We are doing a lot which NEP is saying for, inclusive education. Amity is doing, we have got, you will not believe, like we have got almost 12 special educators in one school, that is Amity. You know, so we are doing all these things to give quality education, to give to prepare children for the life, to prepare children for the global world. So we are giving that, and this is all according to NEP.
Perfect. Anupam, ma'am, while having said that, there has been good focus on research, while as Madam has said about social economic also. Do you think there is still a scope to discuss more on the academic pedagogy, the syllabus revision, stats, and all? What would be your take?
If you could just specify the question a little more, I'll understand better.
I wanted to understand more on the syllabus guidelines, which are a little blurred, and what would be your suggestions to improve that?
If we are talking about syllabus guidelines being blurred as an interdisciplinary is what you
Yes.
mean?
Yes,
Right.
and the practical aspect of it.
Absolutely. Many of our panelists have brought out that towards interdisciplinary or the syllabus being integrated with, say, art or sports, the syllabus guidelines are blurred in that way, whereas especially sports integration or art integration is concerned, or for example, interdisciplinary concern. My take is that though we are talking about experiential learning, with the class 1 to 8 hold up in homes, where is the experiential learning? What are they experiencing? Very little. I was very fortunate to attend a 10-day program done by Diksha when I was in Delhi. We were left in the middle of the forest, Ari Forest, Jim Corbett, without any light, in a huge tent. We published a book without any light. We were hiking and trekking through the forests. We learned almost 8 ideologies, from theater to art to ecosystem, the soil profile, the local, the geographical location of the place, interaction with the locals, their dressing. I failed to put it into subject categories because there are so many. Can we give that to our children today? That is actually experiential learning. Unless you experience the outdoors, play with the mud, be there gardening, plant trees, interact with your locals, interact with the craftsman, see how he's spinning the wheel, traveling to a Portuguese villa to see what time history is all about. We are confusing experiential learning with the actual experience. With a state like Goa, which has yet not opened the doors for its little ones from class 1 to 8, experiential learning cannot be talked about. Yes, on paper, we have interdisciplinary, definitely. But unless we actually understand that it's okay not to assess children on pen paper tests, it's all right to go ahead with just a project for a water cycle. It's okay to just do a sustainability development goal throughout the year as a project and not insist कि आपने 8 chapter खत्म किए हैं और 10 chapter नहीं खत्म किए और आपका syllabus split up पूरा नहीं हुआ. Give the teacher the freedom. Give the teacher the creativity to do as she pleases. So syllabus on paper, there is a complete blur. Yes, interdisciplinary, we are talking about. We are definitely there on paper. So my take is only empower the teacher, train her. I always insist, empower her and leave her to do her job. Right? So like I always say, I'm a little radical in my views, extremely radical.
This is what
All
this platform is all about.
Yes.
We are
So
there
you
to
would
discuss
find
that.
my views a little radical, but I believe in bringing in actual changes. That's how we run our systems, and our management gives us, in spite of being an armed forces school, which has its own constraints, by the way. Vidya ma'am would understand that, but we are fortunate enough to actually feel the blurring of lines, and we actually say it's okay not to finish all those 12 chapters in the textbook, to give a tick.
May I add something? Sorry. May I add something regarding this experiential learning, if I have the permission and the time?
Vidya ma'am, I have a question rather, in fact, this is the same for you.
Okay.
That having said it, then Anupama ma'am has literally put the heart out. What I really wanted to ask a question to all my panelists. Parents to an extent is responsible, that what I feel. One part is that. Second is the marks aspect that Anupama ma'am has mentioned. So with Vidya ma'am, I would like you to include this angle also in your answer, so that the parents or the students who are listening, and they can understand that what is the pedagogical structure we want to give it to them, and what are the problems that we are facing at the school level, or you are facing at the school level, we at the university level, to make it out to the next attempt. I think the purpose of this panel would be solved then. Over to you.
Yeah, I think to continue with what Ms. Anupama had said, I think I agree that experiential learning could be difficult when you're sitting at home. So I think probably thinking out of the box, it also depends on how you make use of the resources you have to reach out to the students. One such example, which an activity which we did here in school, we wanted to teach the children about the ecosystem. We want to teach the children about the medicinal plants. We want to teach the children about the medicinal values. So I think our school is a very huge campus, and it has got a herbal garden and pretty much a lot of trees which are there with medicinal values. So on one more celebration is something which children look forward, because a lot of things which happen in the school, because it's a very eco-friendly place. And this particular Van Mahotsav day, we were actually missing the students too much. So we thought, what can we do? So I just called upon my biology teacher. I said, okay, you come to the campus. So I did a walk and talk show with him, which we streamed live through the YouTube to all the students. We went to each nook and corner of the school, talked about each and every plant, showed them the plant, how it grows, including that Gilori, the most talked about in the Baba Ramdev's thing. If all those things are here in school. Actually, to my surprise, I also found out I did not know that so many things existed in school, and I learned quite a bit myself. And we were able to involve the parents, we were able to involve the students. So I think it's instead of probably thinking that we are not able to give this experience, I think we can substitute by using multiple resources on the resources in the best possible way. And the parents here play a very, very important role. And I think I'm very, very happy to share with you that the parents of my school have been extremely on board and extremely cooperative in all the efforts which we did.
Okay.
And talking about sustainable development, I think it's better before we preach something, we do it. Actually, we are a sustainable contained school where our entire power is on solar panel. We actually show to the children. So this is how sustainable development has to be, rather than just telling them, okay, if you do this, you're going to get that. So I think children actually see, and when they talk about sustainable development, they talk about their school first. So I think it's good to lead by example. So these are a few things which we do. And also, I think when we are talking about experiential learning, so children are learning about cotton. The teachers of our school went to a cotton factory out there, and they shot a complete video as to how cotton is got from the seed pot to the pod up to the fabric, and they actually showed it to the students live. I think these are some wonderful things. I think we need to do a little bit out of the box thinking to give that experience to the students. And another example which I would give you here is, I think Musi is one of the highly polluted river here in Hyderabad. So the children wanted to go and study it on site, and children along with a group of teachers went to multiple sites where this river is getting polluted, and they came up with some solutions on their own as to how it can be done. And that was again showcased to the students. I think these were some things which we can do. The experience can be substituted in multiple ways. And I think parents are completely on board and they completely agree to what we are doing. Of course, marks. Finally, I think it should not translate into marks into paper. Mere bete ko mark nahi aaya. I think that is something which we are still trying to break that mindset for the children. But I think we do multiple things here in the school to make sure that the children actually connect with the real life so that they collaborate and have a better understanding of what they are actually learning. So I think that is something which we did. I thought I will share it with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Dr.
Mr.
Bhargava,
Juneda, can I come in here talking
Ah,
about
yes.
experiential learning during the pandemic?
to you only, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. I was listening to my co-panelists about experiential learning in the pandemic. And then I felt that how we are able to implement any kind of policy, any kind of something new depends on how able our teachers are, what kind of teachers we have. So fortunately, I just share what we have done here despite the pandemic. So like earlier also, as ma'am said, we did have that one Mahotsav, we had that plantation drive, we had children coming here and doing that plantation and then forgetting what they did and where they did and how big the tree is now. But now, fortunately, thanks to the pandemic, now all the children were there in their homes. The teacher was here in another venue and children were able to talk and also show how their saplings, how their plants, how their whatever vegetable gardens they have. So in the pandemic, we were able to get into the kitchen gardens of our children. And it was a pure delight watching our children showing their carrots. Ma'am, this is the carrot that I grew in my garden. So that wasn't possible earlier. So depends on how our teachers can integrate experiential learning even during the pandemic. And we have certain advantages. Like, let me cite another example. We have foreign languages being taught in most of our Amity schools. So in my school, we teach French. And we had a teacher, an Indian teacher, who teaches French regularly. She's the one, a regular teacher. But again, thanks to the pandemic, for this year, for several of our French classes, we had a teacher who was a native French speaker sitting in Paris and teaching French to our children. So getting to not teaching French, but just interacting in French with the children so that they know how a native speaker does. Another example, as I said, heritage is a very important part of our curriculum here. And we also emphasize on the family involvement. So again, this year, because of the pandemic, when we had our heritage sessions, like there was this particularly, I want to say what this grandmother, she was from Andhra Pradesh and she brought in her entire box of spices, that masala ka dabba, and was showing the spices that she uses for her biryani and showed the cooked biryani and told us the recipe of the biryani. The grandmothers don't usually come in that numbers. Okay, once in a while for a certain section, they may come, but not all that often. They were here as a part of what the school. So we have gone into the classrooms earlier. Okay, the children were only here, but now we have gone into the homes of the children and have learned from them. And that's a different experience altogether and definitely very enjoyable. And yes, what my co-panelists were also bringing out, and I strongly feel whenever there is something new, whenever there's something which is progressive, whenever something needs to be done from the scratch, we need people of very high caliber to implement it. For NEP to be enforced in its true spirit, not just the letter. We agree, on paper, everything is being done. All schools, we are doing it. But for it to be followed in the true spirit, what we need is teachers who are of our higher caliber. So for that, we need, I wish there had been something in the NEP to attract the best of the brains, the creamiest layer in the country to think of teaching as a career. And no, it's not impossible at all. We know of countries like Finland, where it is being done, where the top choice of the toppers in the class is education. Getting into an education teacher training institute is the most prestigious. And so there, the kind of quality that is there, or the autonomy also that can be allowed to the teachers is different. So I wish someday in India, we have policies that attract the best of the best brains, and just paying lip service, saying that teaching is a very noble profession, teaching is the most respectable job, will not bring the required change. It will happen only when teaching as a career is declared as something, it's a group A job, class 1 job, or the remuneration is commensurate to the kind of the talent that we are trying to bring in here. So yes, great hopes from NEP. I really do hope to see those changes, and the discussion here makes me think of these lines. सिर्फ हंगामा खड़ा करना मेरा मकसद नहीं, मेरी कोशिश है कि ये सूरत बदलनी चाहिए. Thank you.
क्या बात. Very nice. I think with this line itself has brought my question to Dr. C.P. Mishra sir, to you. Having said and done, where at one point of time we are talking about NAP, in the pandemic itself we have seen a lot of even education access to the rural, having no mobiles, this gap has widened. So what are your thoughts to address this challenge?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sachinji. I want to first of all add one thing regarding the NEP. We are converted from teaching to learning, not from learning to teaching.
Very nice. Very nice.
So I was just listening to all my co-panelists. I want to say one thing. मैडम ने बहुत अच्छा एक शेयर लास्ट में छोड़ा भावना मैडम ने, तो मैंने भी सोचा मैं भी एक शेयर जरूर मारूं. इसको क्या मिला, किसको कोई हिसाब नहीं. तेरे पास रू नहीं, मेरे पास लिबास नहीं. Thing is that libas we are supposed to search.
True.
We are not supposed to see the degree. रू तो सबके पास है, लिबास नहीं है. Libas is the skill basically. So we are supposed to search that skill. Right now, CBSE is stressing what to learn, how to learn. So how to learn is one of the most of the important part. I want to say CBSE is taking so much of initiative. I was one of the co-panelist group of the team member in 2019 before the pandemic. I visited Muscat to train 8,000 teachers and the principal. Total there is 22 schools are there. Indian schools, 22 in the Muscat. And the teaching, we had taken the 2 topics only on the 2 days. One, how to create the good question paper and how we integrate information technology. I want to say in Prudence School, basically, we are using the integration of technology. I had started my teachers to create their own video YouTube channels. Since 2017, my teachers having, all the PGTs having their own YouTube channels. Now, my physics teacher having so much of YouTube channels, he's getting the, you can say, remuneration from that YouTube channels, more than that salary what I'm paying from the school side.
Very nice.
So that creativity, that portion, this pandemic doesn't mean we are supposed to switch on and then again convert to the same thing. This is the time where we are supposed to see the blended learning. We are supposed to convert the learning towards how. Madam was saying pitara of the masala. Bhavna madam has cooked so many things from the YouTube channels, you can say. So many things. This pandemic increases the e-marketing. This pandemic increases the, you can say, selling of the goods on the portal basically. Pandemic increases the e-payment, you can say digital payments also. Pandemic increases the influence of, I do not know whether Bhavna madam cooked something good or not, but right now I can say Renu madam, Vidya madam, everybody has cooked something. Even Sachin has also cooked something in her house. Okay, by watching the YouTube channels or something. So that is what? Learning by doing. That is actually the real learning. That is a real learning. And this NEP is also saying the same thing. We are converting the skill basically. We are stressing. I'm saying the new one program is coming by the CBSE. Very soon you will see, because it's a secret point I cannot disclose in this portal. More than 36 vocational programs are there. And we are going to integrate these vocational programs with the CBSE, this curriculum. Atal Tinkering Lab. This Atal Tinkering Lab is what? To create something scientific temperament. Not doing searching what H2 plus O become the hydrogen plus oxygen and what it becomes. I'm the commerce students, H2 plus O becomes water. I know this thing I read, but I never seen it. Educate, innovate, create. That is the thought of the Prudence School. And we are supposed to educate the things. How to innovate, how to discover, how to create the design thing, that is the important part. If you feel something in the mind, empty minds create something good things. All filled minds cannot be. You filled only the thought of process. That is one of the important part. They will create, innovate, and they will generate something.
Right.
Purpose of education is what? Being a Sachinji, you are in the university sector. Education basically is what? It is a pure process of learning, not teaching. It is a pure process of learning. Sachinji, if you are doing only the teaching purpose, your university will not get the admissions.
True.
What you are doing? You are doing pure process of learning and removing L silently. What it comes? Pure process of earning. So if the child is not getting the employability after the getting this degree, whatever the BTech, MTech, whatever the things are there, they're not satisfied. They're not getting jobs. They're not getting the employability skills. So or what will happen? They are not having the interest in that subject of the university. That we have this. In my school, you cannot believe, I have 12 sections in my 12th class. And 12 sections, I can say I have equal weightage: science, commerce, arts, humanities, every subject, integration. Even science students having the retail management subject.
Right.
My commerce students having the physics subject also. My commerce students are studying physics only one subject, physics. My science students are studying economics also, marketing also, salesmanship also, financial marketing management also. Financial literacy is one of the important part. Now this pandemic has shown one more important thing, how financial literacy programs we are supposed to run in our school, financial literacy programs in the university side also, and how we are going to integrate both the things. So that is the two things where we are supposed to integrate all these things. And I hope this new education policies focus so many areas to development of the teachers also in the same manner, development of the curriculum, and you can say the pedagogy system also. Pedagogy is what? How you are going to take the, you can say, class, and how you are going to take the session, so that if this Zoom classes or this classes, how what mode you are taking the class. We say we are taking on the Zoom classes. Sorry, we are taking the digital classes, because digital payment should be there. WhatsApp, nobody told you how to use the WhatsApp, but you learn themselves. The child is born in this technology and they are very much familiar to this technology. I never used my technology. I never studied computer science or computer anywhere, but I am using. I think Vidya madam also not study one of the subject as a computer, but we all are using here. So this is the how to learn, because we have the power of learning. That's why we are learning here. So that is the important part. I can say again towards Sachin ji again, बागों में फूल खिलते रहेंगे, हवा आने पर पत्ते भी हिलते रहेंगे, और सही ऊपर वाले की मर्जी हो तो जिस तरह से हम आज मिले हैं वैसे और भी मिलते रहेंगे और एनईपी पे डिस्कशन करते रहेंगे.
Thank you for this wonderful response. Coming to Anupama ma'am and Krishna ma'am, to both of you, for starting with Krishna ma'am, to you. Given an opportunity now, innovation at the schools, right? So the simple question, innovation at the schools, what are the problems that you face or the solution that you would like to bring on board for the betterment of the students? Simple question, simple answer. And we are running short of time, so be very, very specific, please. Great.
Innovation in the schools, I'll say that if regards to skill subjects, if I take,
Yes.
because NEP talks about skill subject. So now what I personally feel is a greater challenge for us being an army public school and other schools, because we have the children who are like of transferable thing. The parents, they keep on transfer. And otherwise also, if a child is studying in any other school, that I feel is a challenge, because there should be few skill subjects which should be common in all the schools. If a child is shifting from one school to the other school, the child should have an option, okay, I can go to this school. But every school, if they are having their own skill subjects as per the location or anything, it becomes very difficult for a parent cannot move from one place to another. In that scenario, who is sufferer? The child is again the sufferer. And the NEP is totally focusing on child education. So over here, I believe this is a problem which we are facing. And over here, the solution which Army public schools have got is we are still streamlining all the common skill subjects in all the Army public schools, so that at least our children don't suffer. But at times, if I see, as I'm sitting in the forum over here, the civil students, those whose parents are working, and the parents, students are in the civil schools, I still feel they must also be going through the same procedure when I interact with the students. And they say, ki, ma'am, only we are the sufferers. Papa ko to jana hai, and my papa has said, ki, okay, you change the subject. Tum kuch aur le lo. Now here my question comes. The child who has studied one subject or one skill subject for 3 years in one school, and the father has got a posting in a remote area, let it be in any profession, and that remote area school doesn't provide that skill subject, the child has to opt for another subject. Now the skill subject the child has studied for 3 years, how the child will be skilled? That is, I believe, is a problem.
Makes sense.
And the solution is if all the schools can have various or 5 to 6 or 4 to 5 skill subjects, which can be common all over.
Perfect.
At least army schools all over India and
Yes.
abroad can do this. I've served in army school. I was talking to Vidya ma'am for years together, almost 25 years. So that's a very good suggestion. I think all army schools.
Yeah, absolutely.
all
Yeah,
Navy
that's what we're
defense
doing,
service
actually.
schools.
We
Yes,
have
for
some
us it's in the
suggestions of-
pipeline. For us, it's in the pipeline. We'll surely go ahead.
Excellent,
Sure.
excellent.
Anupama
Very
ma'am, your
practical.
thoughts on it?
Yeah.
Just very quickly, since you said you're running short on time, innovation in schools, I think a lot of all the schools within the purview of their managements and resources are aligning themselves to the NEP and the changes that are yet to come. I feel because all schools also taking into consideration the wide variety of subjects and skill subjects that are offered. And I'm sure each school is looking at what are their constraints and trying and balancing it out. I just feel that there should now high time the divide between universities, college and school. You know what we are studying, there should be some sort of alignment. What the job market is, right? And the skills that we are teaching at the school level, I think if we could bridge that divide, it will be very helpful for our future generation. All our panelists brought out that the kind of jobs that are being created outside, especially with the pandemic, right? There are so many newer jobs that are coming up. I think we should align our children to the atmosphere, the real atmosphere outside. You know, it was very interesting. Just 2 days back, we have a very strong alumni connect. So our alumni come back and tell us, actually, they are the ones, I'll just say it just the way the student said it. Ma'am, pure maths karke to PhD karna tha. है ना? Applied maths kar leta to data analytics mein mera kuch ho jata. So, yes. Or
Yeah.
one child said,
Yeah,
ma'am,
sorry, I think we understood that and we have introduced applied mathematics. to
wonderful,
this
ma'am,
year.
we
Yeah.
too, ma'am,
Absolutely.
we too.
Lovely.
We also did that. So
Yes.
there are two kinds. So my only, to all schools and all of us, I think that divide between what is really skills which are required outside, let's get our children aligned to that in professional colleges, in universities, and in schools also. That's I think that's, and the basic aptitude. CBSE also says now with the NTA jumping into the entrance exam foray, CBSE, we happen to meet Mr. Biswajit Shah and a beautiful interaction with him from CBSE. He says subjectivity and subject knowledge, CBSE is testing at the 12th level, 11th level. Let the colleges now come and test the aptitude for a course. Very beautifully he put it across. And I think once that innovation sets in, our children will be able to better align themselves as to what is their real aptitude and what is it that they wish to study. So with NEP and everything, I'm sure it will slowly come into process.
Absolutely.
I would love to see that.
Sachinji, I want to add one thing because you had touched the term innovation.
Yes.
Actually, NEP tells something innovation in more concept way. Here, innovation something different. Every child having the innovation. Krishna madam has said ki they have the transferable jobs in the parents. First of all, to our
The
students,
school should be able to tap into that creativity and launch the child.
first of all, we are not prepared the students for any type of job.
Right.
Supposed to enable to create them, as my board is also saying, enable become the job generator instead of job searcher. So they can create the job. Number one. What is skill now? Skill doesn't means innovation is what? Every child having the innovation. You just give the sand, they will create something. You give something, they can make the toys. That type of design, that type of thought, that type of question they have in their mind, we are supposed to tackle that questions. By asking this number of questions, we can reply, and that type of innovative skills we can create. So Sachinji, basically we create the innovative skills, but we in earlier days, basically the education policies are there to complete the syllabus, to pass out. That's why CBSE and the RT simply says, pass all the students till grade 8. Why? Don't focus on the studies, what they are done. You had clapped the things, whether syllabus is covered or not covered, no, okay. That is not the thing. Skill basically means how much they had learned and how much they had applied. That is the basically idea. And innovation, every child having the innovative quality in his mind, basically.
Yes, ability to think of new things, yes.
Talim. In 1937, Nayi Talim, on the behalf of CBSE, we had visited the Varda. And there is one Nayi Talim, Mahatma Gandhi ji concept was there. And who is from Maharashtra, they know, or you search the Nayi Talim concept. Nayi Talim clearly says that you are supposed to create the child to develop him or herself in his own way of everything.
Yeah, may I add one little thing before you take on here? Because I think that is why what we do here in our school is that we tell the child that you have to learn at least a couple of skills which are outside of school. You know, we made a sort of this, without making it mandatory, we encourage the child to learn a couple of things on their own outside of school, which will just, develop a lot of other avenues for him.
Yes, ma'am. In school, what I am doing, I am just developing my school kids to develop their own YouTube channels, own YouTube market, e-market, or sell their own family products. Let them, they have the uniform shop or mobile shop. They can sell all these things. So that is what skilling. So developing that skill with the family, that is one of the innovative ideas basically I can create. Not developing the science stream, commerce stream. We are supposed to integrate. When we are saying science, commerce, then again we are doing this. So developing or creating the innovative ideas so that innovation of the thought basically is required, not innovation of something. We cannot do H2 plus O becomes water always. H2 becomes become vapor. It cannot be possible. So H2 become O become water. But we are supposed to create how this water can be sell out, how it can be generated.
That's the platform.
That is the platform.
Yeah.
So that thought basically we are supposed to create.
Absolutely. And with this, I have an announcement, in fact, to make this, just because now we have touched the point of this innovation and the job creation and all. The next panel we have scheduled at 3 p.m. just after this, and the session topic is 21st century skills and employment.
Oh, wonderful.
So I would be sharing my invites to all of you and be part of that discussion, and would love to have your questions to the panelists and would take it forward. Last closing notes from Renu ma'am, Bhavna ma'am, and Krishna ma'am. Just as one line on what exactly you look forward for NEP, and a closing note from your side.
Okay, yeah. I feel that it was a very, very fruitful discussion, and I'm sure that NEP will facilitate emergence of an education system deeply rooted in Indian ethos, and with the capability of, providing quality education to compete in the global world. This should be the,
Perfect. Bhavna ma'am, your comments, final.
Yes, talking about next session, you said is skills of the future. So that set me thinking. I recently read this report from World Economic Forum, which says by 2022-23, 42% of the courses that that are existing, they will require to be changed, and 1 billion jobs will be transformed by technology. So we know, we have been, that's what we have seen ourselves in all these years, that earlier if you learned something that stayed relevant for 30 years or something, but today with this fast changing world, what skill you have acquired could be outdated in as less as 6 years. So what are the skills that are required to have a successful career in years to come? Of course, we talked of the industry specific skills like coding and cloud computing and data analysis or branding or digital marketing or supply chain management, of course. But one skill that we lay emphasis on, and irrespective of what industry you are in, that skill is most important for success in any career, and that's the human skill, the primary skill, the interpersonal skill. Before we teach our children any kind of hard skill, let's teach them how to work alongside people, how to win people, how to influence them, how to get them to be a support to your cause. So this is what I want. That's what collaborative learning is all about, getting to work with others, getting to reach a certain goal alongside others. And the conflicts and confrontations, what we see in the world today, should definitely be eliminated. Thank you.
Perfect. Dr. Krishna, final comments.
I just like to say that as an educators, we should give the wings to the learners to explore and fly. Let them follow their passion instead of pressurizing them to one specific field. And let us build a community which is like curious, creative, and the confident global citizens. That's all. Thank you so much.
Perfect. And with this, we have come to an concluding note of our panel discussions, NEP, Perform, Reform, and Transform. And this was the very engaging conversations that we had with our esteemed panelists. And I heartily thank you to each one of you for your wisdom of knowledge and the contribution that you have given to the forum. From kitchen gardening to the concept, from teaching to learning, and the most important, changing the concept from what to learn to how to learn. This is NEP is taking the things forward. With this closing note, thank you so much, panelists, for joining us today. Thank you, attendees, for joining us today also.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
It's a
meeting all
pleasure.
of you.
Pleasure being here.
Pleasure. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Take care. Thank you, Anupama, ma'am. Thank you, Renu, ma'am.
Bye. Bye, Sachin.
Thank
Bye
you.
all.
Bye.